hot mess express.
Okay. But we showed up. We showed up. I don't care about the rest. Okay. Chapter 2. I might get a little overexcited. I love this concept. I can't wait to talk about it, actually. I don't even know if I need the book because I get so excited when I read it. But any starting remarks on, okay, let's just backtrack for 1 second. So chapter 2, we talked about just the big leap in general and the whole idea that you have a limitation, right? And everybody has this upper limit problem. And I cannot wait to open that up a little bit. And so chapter 2, making the leap, actually figuring out and dismantling the foundation of the upper limit problem. This is where, when I was listening to the Audible myself, there's not many books that like change my life. And I think I said last week, this one radically has changed how I think about everything because I'm recognizing everything differently. And I have some examples, but yeah, any opening thoughts as we dig into chapter 2 here, or anything you thought about from last week that you wanted to add?
Last week's been so like, it was like 2 weeks away, so I don't even remember.
Hey, I appreciate your honesty.
And then I did chapter 4 in another group, and then it's like, oh, okay, I'm like flipping back and forth trying to remember, okay, what's in what chapter? So that's my issue.
I get it.
But I think when I first read chapter 2 too, it was like, oh wow, it was definitely eye-opening, and to discover, okay, what are it's about your upper limit problems and what holds you back, right? And there's 4 distinct ones, and that's what he talks about in this chapter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, ready to jump?
Yep.
Okay, so right at the beginning, so basically the whole definition of this upper limit problem, which is what I loved so much, is I'm just going to read how he wrote it, and then we can talk about our own ideas over it. And he says, when you attain higher levels of success, you often create personal drama in your life that cloud your world with unhappiness and prevent you from enjoying your enhanced success. I'm going to read it again. It's so crazy. When you attain higher levels of success, you often create personal drama in your life or in your world with unhappiness and prevent you from enjoying your enhanced success.
There's a key word there, create.
I know.
Yeah, that's the key word. You're making it happen. It isn't a given, but we're making it happen. And then they get into the why.
I feel like, those Kermit gifts where he's like, that's how I felt when I read this. Like literally, I can't even do enough of this because I was like, yes, that happens.
You can totally see it in some people's lives too, right? Where they're constantly, it's one chaos after another, right? And I know I can think of certain people in my life too. It's like, holy smokes, like what is going on? Like, it's just, it's insane, right? So
yes, so upper limit could be another word for glass ceiling. A lot of people use glass ceiling in business. Mm-hmm. And so I was kind of trying to relate the two. They're different in the same. Glass ceiling is more, it's not necessarily something you create. Glass ceiling is maybe more like in corporate business, where you can only get so high regardless of what you do. So you're kind of knocking your head on it, but you're also knocking your head on the upper limit problem, because with the upper limit problem, you're your glass ceiling. So you'll get so high and then you'll lid yourself and you'll do something. Do you guys want to hear an in my home example, which probably many can relate to? This isn't even about business, but here's where I first drew the awareness to this. He talks about this is not just in business, this is in relationships, this is in your work environments, in your friendships, and everywhere, right? In home, out of home. And so I started thinking about, you're like, things are going really good, and you're feeling good. And then all of a sudden you do something so dumb and you hear yourself doing it and you're like, why the heck did I just do that? And all of a sudden the atmosphere and the mood is just like, and he actually gives the example in the book. And I was like, well, that happens in my home all the time. Okay. Things are going good. Talk about like relationship with spouse. Okay. Things are going good. You maybe even go out on a date night. Everyone's happy. And then you get to evening, and then guess what I'm awesome at doing? picking a disagreement or a fight right as we get into bed, talking about something that is like nothing to anything. Kurt's staring at me like, why are we talking about this at 10 at night? And every time it's like, what? Right? There goes the joy of the whole evening because I brought up this crazy conversation and I'm like, that's not the limit. It's getting too good. Something must not be right. Can't let myself go any further. Well, let's put a lid on it. Do you guys have any examples?
I think I do that when we get into the hot tub. and because you can't go anywhere. You're stuck there, so you're in it. You've got.
Hey, this is uncensored. Share away.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we're here, we're having a conversation, and you can't multitask when you're, you know what I mean, doing something else. When there's nothing else that's a distraction, then it seems like it's a good opportunity, but it's not.
No.
It's not.
Julie, Candace, anybody relating?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely seen that. Very similar circumstances too. Yeah, totally.
They have a hot tub too.
We have a hot tub. Oh yeah, there's been some that have gone, I'm hot now, I'm getting out.
It's a possible excuse. So we'll break apart, in here he talks about, right, because, okay, I'm just going to read a little bit more. On page, 1 second here, my sticky note. On the page, he gives some examples and talks about it. He talks about the triggering of it. And I'm going to give some more examples, but so the upper limit problem is where you will only let yourself go so high or feel so good. That's really the simplistic definition of it. Okay. So high in fitness and towards your weight loss health goals, so high in business and how high you're going to let yourself go before you tell yourself, oh, no, this can't be possible. So I'm going to do something to unravel myself. And you see people doing this all the time. It's like a bouncy ball against the wall, thrive and soar, and then boom, get too far. And then they do something and they'll totally like rubber band themselves back to the beginning and sometimes further back than where they started. And he talks about that. You see it in relationships and marriages, right? Well, I don't know, we're getting to like 15, 20 years. Like, I don't know, I can't actually possibly be this good, right? Can't let myself feel that good. And so you see it everywhere. And once you understand the concept of this book, which I feel like everyone should have in the house for all eternity, and that you should gift it to people, you can start to see it in other people. So he talks about how this works essentially, and my book keeps closing on me. And on page 43, I highlighted here about triggering it, right? When you trigger your upper limit problem. And he says the false foundation under the upper limit problem is a set of 4 hidden barriers based on fear and false belief. Right away, that's like hazard lights, right? Fear and false belief. I mean, fear is false evidence believing real, so perfect. The 4 hidden barriers all have something in common. Although they seem real and true, they're based on beliefs about ourselves that are neither true nor real. So they feel real, but they're the exact opposite, right? They're not. The fact that we unconsciously take them as true and real is the barrier holding us back. Mm-hmm. We take them as true and real until we shine awareness on them, right? It's kind of like anxiety. With anxiety, same thing. That fear only has power until you shine the light on it. Second you expose it, it's gone. Right? Fear hates brightness.
As soon as you expose it, you have to do something about it. I don't think it's just shining the light on it. That's just the awareness part. But if you don't do anything about it, then it will continue, even with the light. So I think there's multiple parts to that, but you're right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It just takes away its power is what I meant, right? Like, it's like when you talk about it to someone, okay, now it's out in the open. It doesn't take it away, but it takes away the hold it has on you in a sense, because now it's not a secret like that way. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So should we go through the barriers? Barrier number 1, feeling fundamentally flawed. Anyone relate? I want to open that up a little bit.
That's a really heavy one. I think of the 4, that one is just like, it's all about me. It's all my fault. Everything's my fault because this is just something that I am. I think that's the heaviest one of the 4 that they talk about. And
I think,
and the one that I think I related to the least of the 4. And he does say that you're probably going to relate to a few of them. Very few people are all of them, 2 or 3 probably, but this isn't one for me that I felt was me.
Julie?
Tell me if I'm wrong.
so for myself, I think this is the one that I relate to most. And so there can be like, it's those underlying fears, right? Okay, so what's wrong with me? Why am I not ranking up fast enough? Why is this happening? So there's always those, or I'm not good enough, or it'll be too hard, or it'll never happen, right? So that's often where those fears show up.
Yeah, and he says if you have a deep old feeling that there's something wrong, bad, or flawed about you, you will find yourself grappling with this issue every time you break through to greater love and financial abundance.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think what steps in is it's not going to last.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to sustain this. I'm not actually good at this. That was just luck. That's kind of how I see this. Like, it wasn't because of me, because I did something good. It was just like, it just happened. It's probably never going to happen again. So I'm not going to put myself there. I'm just going to block that all off so I don't have to feel the hurt or the loss of it possibly happening again, right? Now, what have you just done? You've created the framework for it's going to happen again, right? Because you've already put up your walls. So you're not going to go over it. It's very fascinating. Yeah, so there's the fundamentally flawed. And I think to different levels, yeah, you'll agree. And I think we struggle, you might not think you're fundamentally flawed to say, but if something's not happening quick enough, or your relationship's not progressing well enough, deep down, there might be, maybe I'm the problem, it's interesting. Number 2 is disloyalty and abandonment. When we're stuck behind the barrier of disloyalty and abandonment, our unconscious mantra goes something like this: I cannot expand to my full success because it would cause me to end up all alone, be disloyal to my roots, and leave behind people from my past. Ooh.
Roots can be good, but sometimes they anchor you to things that aren't good and healthy.
Yes.
Yes.
So here's one that I myself would say of the 4 isn't the one I relate to most, but I feel like I see this one a lot in people. When I say I can't relate to it, it's not that I don't have the feelings of it. I probably just put up a little bit of, I don't want to say defense or barrier, but probably just a little bit of, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to let people hold me back. But I personally, vulnerability is I have to be careful, though, that I do that in a loving, kind type of a way, not just to like, well, then you do you and I'm going ahead, not like that. And so you have to be careful, I think, with all these barriers, that in recognizing or saying, they're not really mine, but then knowing that we can also we don't want to be abrasive in it either, right? But this one I see the most in network marketing. And the reason for that is people say, I don't want my friends to feel like I'm selling them something. And the underneath, what I hear in that, let me know what you guys think. When I hear somebody say that, I actually hear them saying they might think I'm trying to make money off of them, that I'm using them. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You see how there's different levels peeling there? And then what comes after that is what he says. If they feel like this, what you're telling yourself, if they feel like that, they're going to leave me. I'm going to lose them.
Yep.
So I'm going to make sure I don't get too successful. I don't tell too many people so that not too many people can think that about me. Because if they're not thinking that about me, then I don't risk losing them. But what's the result of that?
You cap yourself.
No success.
Yeah. You'll only get so far.
A limitation, right? A limitation. Yeah. Which, can I be open and honest about something? I think this is one of our biggest problems in the network marketing industry. It's one of the biggest, most popular business models to date. especially right now in the time we're living. And I only see it getting more and more so because of just things going on. But I also see this number 2, this hidden barrier, number 2 of disloyalty and abandonment, as the number 1 cause why most people say this doesn't work. Why? Because most people they'll share with 3, 5, maybe 10 friends, and then they're capping themselves here. So the majority and highest percentage of people end up capping right there. And then to the broad audience, what does it look like? That doesn't work. No one's making it happen. Mm-hmm. Right? Which is actually kind of sad, because it actually stems from that inner feeling of abandonment. And then we have to wonder, did we feel abandoned as a child? And is it now playing out into our adulthood and our future financial success for our own family? Or do you take it the other way? Did you feel that? And now is this one not really your thing? Because you're like, listen, I felt like this when I was young, right? I could say this on here because my mom's not going to see this. But I did feel abandoned as a child. My mom did. We had food, we had shelter, but I felt abandonment in different ways, right? In her presence. But now, but I have the opposite swing on that. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. And so I'm going to specifically do this so that I don't have that. So I think it can go either way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It all has an impact. It's undeniable, right? I mean, we can trace back, and a lot of what we talk about here in these barriers does go back to where we're from and how we were raised and what our, moral compass is and where we fall on certain things. And I'll never do that again, or I'm bound to repeat it. And that cycle, good, bad, or ugly, tends to happen for everybody. And it's a matter of identifying it and deciding whether or not you want to do something about it, or if you're comfortable with that. And a phrase that I use so often with both, personally with my work, there's comfort in chaos, because people know what to do with that. They understand what it feels like and how the reaction is going to be to that. And even though something is good, it keeps them from doing that because there's comfort in what they know themselves. And when they get outside of that, they don't know what to do with it, even when it's a good feeling, because they don't know what to do with that. They stay in the chaos, whether chaos is like threatening or not, right? Whatever that chaos means to you about how you feel about yourself or anything else, there's comfort in that. And that's what keeps people from going towards the light, doing the good things, doing the things that feel good, that make them successful. But it's about how they feel about it. And that's really deep-seated in a lot of people.
You said that really well. You really explained that well. Yeah, totally can resonate. Did you have anything to add, Julie, to number 2?
I think sometimes too, though, like when they talk about family, oftentimes the issue that comes up is a feeling of abandoning your kids or your family priorities, right? So that's often an issue that people will struggle with as well too, when in fact that's not the case, because what you're doing is trying to better your family situation and make yourself more available, right? And with good boundaries and stuff, it doesn't have to be an issue, because your heart's intent is for your family.
Yeah, and I think that continues to root deeper, right? So same kind of idea. You don't want to feel like you're abandoning your family because there's something else there. Why are you feeling like that? You're clearly trying to do something that maybe you experience, because naturally, as nurturers in our most perfect form that we were created, we weren't created already feeling fear of abandoning someone. We were created for togetherness and unity. Right. And so that's not a natural reaction. And so that just shows, if you're feeling like my kids or someone's going to think I'm not being the best mom and not being there enough, and then I'm abandoning my family time. Well, that's come out of a belief that's stemming from somewhere. Yeah. Because it's just not our natural self. It's not who we were created to be. It's not even in us. Right. So it's interesting to unravel that. It's so interesting. And you're totally right. That's usually the number one fear. Yeah. But what about teaching? Are you teaching your children like kind independence? If you literally feel like you have to like sit with them every second and entertain them, is that long-term really actually what's best? Or is that a self-soothing comfort because of something else going on? I've worked the whole time I've had kids. I've homeschooled, had them in school, help on the farm. I don't think any of my kids would say that they felt abandoned.
Yeah.
Maybe during times, but I would not say overall. Do you know what I mean? Because I think it's just in how you do life and family, but seeing mom work, I don't think on its own is grounds for a child feeling abandoned. I think it would be way more than that. That's our self-soothing explanation of maybe why you can't do something.
Yeah. Yeah. I know Brooke shared a lot about that recently too, and just with her family, right? Because she has 6 kids and 2 of them are young, like they're 5 and under. So with that, she's taught them, okay, mom's got to do this now for an hour and a half. And once this is done, then we can go do this together. And they understand that. It's again, putting those boundaries in place, right? So that they know, okay, mom's got work to do, but because mom gets this work done, we can go to Florida, to Disney World and do this. And then also we can play games later too. And she's more focused then, right? So it's like, she's got the work done. Now we can focus on this.
And those boundaries are defined. Like I'm going to be working business hours, right? Making yourself business hours. I'm going to work from here till then. I will be more available. Not, I'm not unavailable. It's just more available at that time.
Yeah. And she doesn't do 9 to 5 business hours, guys. She does like, maybe 6 to 8 and then whatever, right? If she's got Zoom scheduled and stuff, but it's, she'll tell you she only works a few hours a day.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they're concentrated. They're concentrated.
Yep.
Yeah. And focused and purposeful. Yeah.
That's the skill of, having that planned, right?
Okay, number 3. In barrier number 3, believing that more success brings a bigger burden. Yeah. Go ahead, Paige.
So the first thing that came to my head, and I'm not sure if I'm quoting it properly, is the higher the level, the bigger the devil, something to that effect, right? That's exactly what I went to immediately on this, going, yeah, okay.
Level, different devil in all things.
Yeah, different devil, different,
Yeah, but
bigger, different,
exactly. Yeah, no. And I think that, okay, so he says, let's read what he says. An old belief that you're a burden can hold you back from expanding your full capacity for success and enjoyment. If that belief has a grip on you, your upper limit mantra goes like this: I can't expand to my highest potential because I'd be an even bigger burden than I am now. So burden on, what do you guys hear when you hear burden? What's he relating to, or what do you feel he's relating to? I'd be a bigger burden than I am now.
This one was a bit of a tougher one for me. And he goes on to talk about, his own life experience and how he was made to feel like a burden. No fault of his own. But regardless, the outcome was still the same, right? So, a burden could be lots of different things. It just depends on your life situation.
Yeah, and this one usually seems to stem from childhood. So he says, right, I kind of, you hear kids should be seen and not heard. I mean, I heard that lots of times, not from my mom, but I did definitely hear that from one of the father figures in my life. It depends on what the upbringing was. So as a child, like, let's just say, one thing I've tried really hard, not perfection, but when we have people over, to not tell my kids, like, go downstairs and everybody be quiet. I don't always want them to hear adult conversation. So, I try to maneuver, but I've tried to be mindful, especially as my girls have become teenagers, that they're not constantly being told, like, go, skedaddle, scat, right? And so that can develop the burden feeling. And that burden feeling, I think, can start with something like that. But then in business, here's how I hear it. And maybe whether or not I'm understanding it correctly here from his viewpoint, but I hear it like this. When somebody in our positions needs help, I hear this all the time. I'm wondering I know you're busy, but I don't want to bother you, but what that's telling me is you're feeling like a burden to me, even though I've honestly shared my heart that I'm never too busy for you. And if I am, I just will let you know that I'll get back to you later.
Mhm.
Right? This week I've had someone asked me to be on a couple phone calls to talk through a couple people with their products. No problem. Absolutely. I said, here's when I'm able to. I can't, someone asked me 10 o'clock the other night to phone them. I said, I can't do that right now, but I can call you tomorrow at 1. Right?
Mhm.
So we have to just trust the honesty of the person that we're asking. Not to not ask for help and not to try to do better, but to trust the person who's saying, you're not at all a burden to me. I'm actually here to help you. You have to trust me that if I can't, I'm going to tell you.
Mhm.
That's how I see it relating into business, but I think that feeling starts over in childhood. Make any sense?
Yeah.
Or did I explain that okay?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Number 4, the crime of outshining. Who wants to open that one up?
Can you say that one again?
The crime of outshining. So the unconscious mantra of outshining barrier goes like this. I must not expand to my full success, because if I did, I would outshine blank and make him or her look or feel bad.
This is another one of those childhood things for a lot of people. And sometimes it is something that is said, or it's a feeling that you get in a situation where it's like, that's great, but let's not go too crazy on it. Like, is it really that big of a deal? Where you feel like you can't be fully celebrated because it's going to have an impact on how other people feel about themselves. So just go easy on the rah rah, sis boom bah kind of thing. Yeah, it's okay to shine. Just easy on the light. Not too big of a spotlight. Just a little.
So what's your personal feel on that? Do you think that that's accurate or no?
Oh, I think it's accurate, 100%. I mean, I use myself as an example sometimes. I'm one of 4 kids. We were 4 kids in 6 years, and have very different personalities among us. And you can imagine the competition for attention when you're all really in a very close age gap between the 4 of us, that it was tough. I know my parents, in retrospect, especially my mom, will say, I wish we had you further apart, because then it would allow each of you to shine individually and be in less competition with each other for that attention. So, but that does, and having spent for the first time in 8 years last weekend, spending with all of my siblings and my parents, it doesn't matter how old you are. It does not matter how old you are. You fall back into a lot of the same patterns, even as grown-ass adults, excuse my French, but grown-ass adults, reverting back to, we're still 4 kids of my parents, and you still fall into those categories. And it's challenging at any age, and some things you just don't outgrow. So it does have an impact on everything, really, right? And what you do with your own kids. I mean, Julie, you've got 3, Heidi, you've got 4, Candace, you've got 4. Allowing those kids to shine individually can be challenging. Everybody wants your attention. They want their parents' approval and attention. And I think it can be hard to divide it up and make it feel equal, and everybody's loved and, cared for and valued, regardless of how old they are.
Mm-hmm. And I think what I was meaning in that too is like, it definitely happens.
Mm-hmm.
But do we feel there's accuracy in that we should be doing it that way? Do you know what I mean? Because so in business, for example, in any business structure, you always have one over another. I say one over another in the term, someone's always, leading the way, whether it's volunteer based or not, someone's giving direction, right? And so this feeling will come up in, for example, I'm going to use network marketing because that's what we're talking about, right? We'll have this genealogy, and I better not outshine, right, my sponsor, because how's that going to look? That might look arrogant or whatever. But at the same time, we have to remember that we are a starburst organization. So Plexus has done this so that actually you can shine bright like a star in a starburst. That it's not dependent on, right, this like only ladder structure, but that there's nothing wrong with you if you're shining bright over here, even though there's someone that's on, right, where you come off of their branch. Because somebody coming off of yours might shine brighter than you. And sometimes we take that as a type of, I don't want to say an insult, but there's something wrong with me, or why am I not? And at the same time, that's actually, we are to look for people that are stronger than us, that have qualities that we don't have. And we really need to actually, rather than approach that with, you know, fear or insecurity, we need to approach that with actually celebration, that like, yeah, like I'm actually doing a great job because I have, right, found a friend that is able to do this and succeed and is doing awesome. I should be celebrating this because that actually shows that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Right. And so, yeah, but I think it comes back from the childhood thing, right? Because one child, like you said, walks into the room and all excited, and just the look on mom or dad's eyes is like, oh, you know, dumb that down a little bit, someone's going to be hurt. And so what is that go teaching them for the future? Because now we're the future. We are now in business, and we've now brought this to the table. So each as leaders, how are we now going to change that direction of letting people know it's actually okay to shine? You should be being celebrated.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just going to say that. I think oftentimes you'll see that where there's someone that's fully capable of doing things, but then maybe holds back because they don't want to outshine the person ahead of them, right?
Yes. And one thing that I have always tried to say verbally, I literally have this inner desire. I actually desire and want people to outshine and surpass me. That would be a compliment to me, not an insult, not even at all.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's the whole goal here. The whole goal here is to close income gaps in families, to see people walk out of where they are and into something else. How do you do that without helping them outshine you? Because otherwise you're just up here with your little flashlight on yourself, right? So that's not the goal. So I just tell you what, this book is, we're not even barely getting started, right? Like, I mean, this is only chapter 2 of just understanding that, okay, got an upper limit problem here. I mean, wait until next week when we start to open up. Is next week the chapter where we start going through? Julie, are you nodding over there? I'm trying to flip through my book. Next week is
how to spot your upper limit. Yeah, in your daily life. Yeah.
Yes. So we're going to be finding the upper limit, and then obviously what kind of book would it be if it didn't take us through the action steps of what do you do with it, right? And I promise you, once you spot it, I'm trying to decide if I should give an example now or next week. I'm going to wait till next week because it might be more applicable. Once you spot upper limits and what they look like, you will see them everywhere, and it could frustrate you, but what it actually has done for me is it's given me grace. Mm-hmm. It's given me grace for people that typically I might not have had enough of, because I'm like, that's their upper limit right there. That's all that is. Doesn't matter what the conversation topic is. I literally, guys, have an awesome example for you. I have 2 awesome examples. So come back for it. But it is, you can see it. And you literally have this heart of compassion and grace, like, okay, actually, I don't have to take this conversation personal at all, because it's not about this. This is upper limit coming into action here, and it's okay. We're going to work through this upper limit so that we don't even have these conversations anymore. Ask Julie. I messaged her a few times. I'm like, I feel so free. It's just upper limit problem. It's not even about me. It's so awesome.
Because when you don't know what it is, your mind goes to what it could be, and you create scenarios in your head that aren't necessarily good.
Or what could I do better or different? Yeah. Or
where did I go wrong?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're like, it's not even about me. When it's not about you. When it is about you, it is about you. That's what I'm just saying, right? But you will begin to emotionally, just trust me, you're gonna open up with so much grace and joy. I love this book. I want to have an affiliate link to sell the dang thing. It's so good. Okay, so chapter 3 is next, and yeah, we're just gonna keep unraveling. We are gonna keep unraveling. I'm here
I
for
like
it.
how closes it, teaches us to have a keen awareness of what's going on around you in the day to day and just being aware of it.
Yeah.
And I find myself now trying to like categorize different things.
Should I buy you another journal for this? Some highlighters.
My highlighters are running dry.
Oh.
Gotta have multi.
Okay. All right. We'll see you back here.
Good to see you guys.
Bye.
Have a great Saturday.